Well, joining us now, Ambassador T.S. Tirumurti. Challenging times for Indian foreign policy. Certainly, various aspects of what's happening in Pakistan, they're all linked in one sense. So thanks very much for being with us. My first question, we are sending several MPs across party lines to countries around the world. How is this important in terms of sending the message that Pakistan is a state sponsor of terrorism? It's something that impacts not just India, but countries around the world.
No, thank you very much again, Vishnu, for having me in your show. I think it's an excellent initiative to have a bipartisan delegation traveling to select countries and put forward our case. And I presume it is for, they have two objectives, this sending the delegations. One is domestic, the other is international. I think the domestic part of it is to basically to reach out to the opposition and, bring all the parties onto the same narrative. And also to show our people that we are extremely earnest in reaching out to the international community. But as far as the international aspect is concerned, I think it's, of course, to shape the international narrative, which, as you know, Vishnu, it has not necessarily been in our favor. And I think that needs to be corrected. And I think this delegation will certainly convey that we take it with utmost seriousness, this terror attack, and they also should take it with utmost seriousness. And it is also to clear some of the cobwebs of disinformation that the world has been exposed to from a variety of sources, and even more particularly from the Western media. And as you correctly said, we need to expose Pakistan as a hub of terror and their support and backing for Pahalgam, and also our determination to act in our self-defense. And you will see that they have also very carefully chosen the UN Security Council members. And because Pakistan is going to be the president of the UN Security Council in July, and I think, therefore, this has been well thought out, and I really hope that this succeeds.
I just want to get your understanding on why you believe that India hasn't received the sort of foreign policy that you'd like to see. I mean, we've had upwards of 15 heads of state, for example, call in and offer condolences for the Pahalgam terror attack. There have been several countries which have been critical of Pakistan's role in terror. Beyond that, what more would you like to have seen?
No, I think I think a lot of them have actually condemned terror, even though notably the EU did not do so initially, but later I believe they came and condemned it as well. But at the end of the day, they started equating the victim, which is India, and the perpetrator, which is Pakistan. And I think, there are several reasons I think that is for it. Firstly is that we all know that there are several conflicts which are on currently. The one in Gaza, the Middle East with Syria and Iran and with Ukraine. So I don't think they had the appetite to have yet another conflict in Asia. The other thing was that US, as you know, is trying to stop conflicts, and that's what they have been trying to do, and they say they are trying to do. And therefore, their attempt has been to stop conflicts, and this particular conflict, irrespective of whether it's the victim or the perpetrator, thereby talking mainly about regional stability and de-escalation. And the third one I can only think of is that we are two nuclear powers, and I suppose that sort of starts sending alarm bells with the various countries. But, I think India has called out the nuclear bluff, and I think that's a wonderful thing we have done. The fourth is probably the fragmentation of the fight against terror. Each of the regions and countries are fighting their own form of terror, and that's the unity which we had to jointly fight terror, I think that is gone now. And finally, I think, of course, we have very clearly said that, Pakistan occupied Kashmir is the only thing on the table to be discussed. But it is also clear that, and to the whole world, that Jammu and Kashmir is a bilateral issue to be discussed between us. That's what the world says. They have no appetite to internationalize it. But when they see a terror attack somewhere in Kashmir, they start seeing this through a different lens. I think probably these are some of the main reasons why I suppose it was not as forthcoming as we would have liked.
Ambassador, I want to focus also on General Asim Munir, who is now Field Marshal Asim Munir. Is this something that he's done to fuel a domestic constituency to convey the sense that militarily they have achieved what they wanted to against India. Because if you look at the results at the end of the day, with India being able to strike those terror camps in something that was proven by satellite imagery quite clearly, in addition to air bases which were also struck, it just seems that India by the end of the day did quite well in Op Sindoor.
I completely agree with you, Vishnu. Actually, by this promotion, and that too while he's still serving as the army chief, and he sort of crowned himself as the undisputed, what do you say, Lord of all I survey. So there are implications for this for India. And firstly, as you correctly said, there is the narratives of India and Pakistan are actually two different narratives. And as far as India is concerned, if you cut through the clutter and you look at the briefings, as you have pointed out very clearly, that it was a retaliation for terror, and we came out on top on the escalation ladder. But however, for Pakistan, they have a different narrative, and they have actually beaten back Indian aggression, and they came out on top, and they say that India has accepted US ceasefire. So there were two different narratives here we are trying to tackle. And if you also look at prior to Operation Sindhu, General Munir faced a rather discredited Pakistan army. He was seen as stifling democracy. Imran Khan is still in jail, and there were reverses in Baluchistan, and he had installed a civilian government which had really no mandate to govern. The IMF bailout was also imminent, or rather, it was facing him. But I must say that one terror attack on India, and he has sort of used this terror attack to bail himself out of the hole which he had dug himself. And now he is portraying himself as the protector of Pakistan. And, an IMF bailout came rather unwisely, I must say, right in the middle of all this conflict. And now he has a civilian government, which is actually his puppet and under his umbrella. And he's now going to support terrorists and Islamic radicals very strongly. So now he's going to have a free hand, in the army. So therefore, you're absolutely right. He's consolidated power, and it is going to have serious repercussions in India. As you know, Vishnu, he sees himself as a cut of the Ziaul Haq's cloth, bleeding India with 1,000 cuts. And he is Islamizing the army. And he has invoked the two-nation theory that Hindus and Muslims cannot live together. And, after more than 75 years, it's surprising that Pakistan still cannot define itself. And he has to invoke this two-nation thing. And he has also raised the Kashmir issue in a very militant way. And he's not going to hesitate to use terror as a weapon against India. And therefore, I would not put it beyond him to keep provoking India in the future as well, in spite of all the deterrent we put to, So therefore, assistance to terrorism, assistance to Islamic group radicals will continue under him. Stifling of democracy will continue, and he may even meddle in a country like Bangladesh, which once again has a government which is not accountable. So I think it is going to be very important that, we watch the space.
All right, Ambassador, great speaking to you. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights. Thanks very much indeed.